Beyond Intellect, Intuition, Creativity, and Communication for PhD students. Welcome. In this video, I will briefly go through what we will do in the Beyond Intellect coaching program. And before I go into the details, I want to introduce myself very briefly. So my name is Jerome Holtay-Weber. I am a life coach and consultant at my own company, Emerge to Prosper. My educational background includes a Master of Science in Talent Development and Creativity, which is a psychology master's, and a Master of Science in Sports Sciences. I'm an entrepreneur. I co-founded a language school, and I now have my own business, Emerge to Prosper. I am passionate about personal development and connection, and I am also passionate about traveling. I've already lived in 6 countries. My mission is to help people connect with themselves and with others, which is part of the motivation of creating this coaching program. So, what is Beyond Intellect about? Universities in general and PhD programs in particular really develop very well the intellect, the intellectual knowledge of the students, the critical thinking, their ability to come up with strategies and plan Bs, which is all necessary to do research. But there's more, and that's why I created this course. So this is an advertisement that was made for Mercedes-Benz, and it shows the left side of the brain as being the logical, rational, calculating kind of part of the brain, and the right side of the brain being passionate, creative, playful, colorful, and all these other kind of things. Now, it is not really scientific because the rational side, the characteristics of the rational side are actually in both hemispheres and the other way around, but it's a good depiction because when we come back to the intellectual knowledge, the critical thinking, and the strategy, where are they located? Intellectual knowledge is on the left side. It's in the rational side of our brain. Critical thinking, the same. How about strategy? Also. So PhD programs really help the students and encourage and challenge the students to develop all these logical, rational, research kind of abilities, which is great. As I said, it's necessary. But there's more. There's also the creativity, the playfulness, all the colorful stuff, all the happiness. And, this kind of right side of the brain, as it is depicted here, is what I want to supplement through this coaching program. So I'm not saying at all that what universities do is bad or not what we need. I'm just saying they do that, and that's what's necessary. But to focus on the whole person, to develop the whole person, we need more. And that's basically why I created this course. So how do we do that? How do we do that in this Beyond Intellect program? Well, there are 6 stages. We start with getting to know ourselves. Getting to know ourselves better. Our values, our beliefs, our identity characteristics. And then we get to know the other people in the group better. That's the first stage. The second stage evolves around communication. Communication with yourself but also with the outside world, with your colleagues, with your friends. And this is really, really interesting because we humans, we are social beings, and communication is a big part of our life. And from the interviews that I conducted to design this PhD coaching program, I also found out that hopefully not the majority of you, but many PhD students really have challenges with their relationship with their supervisor. So we're also going to talk about and address that. In the third stage, we're going to talk about creativity, vulnerability, and intuition. So vulnerability and intuition are actually necessary for creativity. And creativity is necessary for innovation. And what do scientists do? They innovate, or at least they try to innovate. So scientists have to be creative, and they want to be creative. And to be able to innovate and be creative, they have to be vulnerable, and they can also benefit a lot from using their intuition. In stage 4, we will talk about perfectionism. Perfectionism is a very, very big topic in academia. And we will look at the pros and cons of it and find out how we can use the perfectionism, but do not fall trapped to it. So there are pros and cons of perfectionism, and we want to, of course, maximize the pros, the positive things that come with it, but also we do not want to suffer from perfectionism. Stage number 5 is actually very connected. It's overthinking. So perfectionism and overthinking. When we are able to limit these, the negative perfectionism and overthinking, then we are more able to relax. So overthinking, in my interviews, I found out, also from own experience, I know that it can be very difficult to stop thinking once you get home from work or once you leave work and go somewhere else. So, in your PhD program, you have very much going on. You have complex things. You have, this study somehow is related to this study, and then you have a collaboration there and another supervisor there and another person working on something there. It's very complex and everything somehow is related, and you have so many thoughts in your head. And of course, if you think all day long, it can be very difficult to stop these thoughts once you get out and actually want to stop them, when you want to relax. And it is very necessary to be able to do that because, burnout can be prevented through that. And you can actually focus on having more life outside your academia life, so to say. The 6th stage is setting boundaries and proactively designing your life. In PhD programs, you often have a lot of freedom. You can kind of decide what you want to research, how you want to do it, the methods, maybe even collaborations, or, you have a lot of freedom in general. And of course, not all PhD programs are the same, but in general, this is how it looks like. This is, of course, great because you can make your own decisions. But it is also difficult if you don't know how to make your own decisions and stand behind them. So what often happens is that you kind of follow along with what other people are doing. Maybe not entirely, but to a degree. And then you don't actually exactly do what you want to do. And to be able to do that, to be able to pursue your own self-defined way, you need to set boundaries. And you need to start thinking about how can I proactively design my own life. And that's what we're going to address in that theme. Now, let's talk about the logistics a bit. Beyond Intellect is a 6-month program, and we will have up to 12 people per cohort. So we keep the number of people in one cohort small, so that we can have more interaction in the classes, that you can actually get the chance to get to know each other as well, and maybe build up like a peer support group, or just a reflection group, or insight group. Then per month we will have a 2-hour presentation session. In that presentation session, I will be hosting a live video session and present the topic of the month. So I will kind of like bring the knowledge to the table, and then together we can discuss it. You can ask questions, I answer, and we just together soak up that knowledge. Also, every month we will have a 1-hour session to reflect and discuss. In that session, I will not bring any new knowledge. That session we look at what have we learned in the presentation session? Have we applied that in our lives already? What difference has it made? What has worked? What has not worked? What questions popped up? So that we can really integrate the knowledge through reflection and discussion of the material. And additionally and optionally, you can have a 1-hour coaching session, individual coaching session with me. And I do those individual coaching sessions in either English, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and both continental and Brazilian, or Dutch. So I've lived in different countries, as I said already, and I speak all of those languages fluently. What are the prices? For individuals, a full program, which basically means including the individual coaching, it is 510 euros for the 6-month program. You can also have a reduced price of 150 euros if you take the program but without the individual coaching. And whether you take it or not, it depends a bit on how much money can you spend, how deep do you want to go, and how fast do you want to develop. So of course, the deeper and the more quick you want to develop and have change, the more likely or the more beneficial the full program would be. For institutions, the prices vary. I can also do on-site presentations and condensed versions, or even collaborate with people at site who can then facilitate the reflection and discussion session. For that, please contact me. I want to quickly give you a reference that I received from Massimo, with whom I worked while he was doing his master's, and he's now in his PhD position. So he wrote after individual coaching, I got the chance to have Jerome as a coach during one of my peak stress phases in academia. And I can say it was a great and really helpful experience. It really helped me to reflect on what, how, and why am I doing what I am doing. This helped me to develop powerful strategies with Jerome to reach my goals. Now that I picked up my PhD and stayed in academia, I must say I am still making use of these insights every day. This not only helps me to progress, but also to find my time to relax and focus on all the other things I find important in life. Thanks a lot again, Jerome, and keep up the good work with everyone you meet along the way. What I find most fascinating and what I'm most happy about in this recommendation letter is that he wrote, I'm still making use of these insights every day. So he gave that reference letter to me 1.5 years later, after discussing and developing together these powerful techniques. And he was still using them every single day, at least that's what he said. And also very important to me, because I said I see this Beyond Intellect as a supplement to the PhD program to develop the whole person. He wrote that he also managed to find more time to relax and focus on all the other things he found important in life. So he's seen improvements in his academic life, but also in his life in general, in his personal life. So he could, engage more in his hobbies and pursue his passions more, which is really what I want you guys to experience as well. So now I've prepared a small Q&A slide to answer some common questions. Is this program based on scientific findings? Yes and no. I use some scientific theories such as the self-determination theory and other scientific findings from literature in psychology and business. But I also use my own personal experience and the coaching experience, especially the one with other students. What if I don't know whether I'll have time to attend the meetings? Of course, you don't ever have half a year completely planned out. So we'll have the live sessions where you can ask questions anytime while I'm presenting, and we can have discussions. But I'll also record these, so you can either rewatch them or watch them in case you hadn't had the possibility to tune in live. And if you didn't have that opportunity, you can also, after watching it, send me questions and I'll answer them. So I'm really trying to make you get the benefit, even though you may not have been able to come in live. What if I don't like it? That's a very good question. So when you watch this video and you look at the content and it somehow resonates with you and you think that it can be beneficial for you, then I truly believe that it will be. But of course, I don't know for what reason, you could end up not liking it. And in that case, you can get a refund. My PhD is very unusual. Do I still benefit from this program? I would say probably you will. Because the things we talk about are really, we don't scratch the surface only, we go deep. And maybe you will not benefit as much from some topics as from others. For example, if you have like a perfect communication with your supervisor, you might not benefit from that session too much, or well, not as much. Or if your PhD is very structured and rigid and you don't have freedom, you may get less of a benefit out of our last session where we talk about setting boundaries. But in general, I do believe that even though you don't have like the standard general average PhD, you can benefit a lot from this program. I have a coach, mentor, or psychologist at my department. What's the advantage of joining this program? Okay. One of the advantages is that I am not at your department. So people who are at your department, first of all, they probably have more or less the same kind of worldview. Oftentimes, especially for coaches and mentors, they are somehow involved in academia and research as well. So they look at the world with the same kind of eyes. And I'm not. I was in academia, I'm not anymore. I do know how it looks like, but I also can see from without. And additional to that, I've heard that in the interviews a lot, that there are just some things you don't want to share with anybody inside of your department. Perhaps at least not in the beginning. So you might have troubles with another person at the department, with your supervisor, or some other kind of related issue that is within the department that you might not want to address to another person who's also part of the department. So I might offer this program through your university or even in your university, but I'm not part of the department. I am just me in my personal business. And also, of course, people in those roles at your department will not give you such a program, because I designed this program myself, and most of the time they just give you some advice or ask you some good questions, but they don't go through all these important topics. And oftentimes they are also not so aware of all these right brain side kind of things in general. I don't believe in intuition. Do you have any facts to back up what you're saying? I do. And I actually prepared another slide for that. Let's go through the other two questions that I'm going to show in a minute, and then come back to the question about intuition. Will you refer to scientific studies? No. I will not refer to any scientific studies in my slides in the presentation. However, if you're very interested in a particular topic, just let me know and I can give you additional material to read, or additional resources in general. So not in the slides, but I can facilitate something. And lastly, what will I have achieved or gained after the program? So this is a very broad question. If we just think of the first theme, which is getting to know yourself better and the other people, that can already make a difference in your life. So if you find out your values and your identity and your characteristics and your beliefs, and because of that, you're able to kind of like live your life more aligned with how you see yourself and how you want to be, that can already make a drastic change, positive change in your life. And then improving your communication, theme number two. Also, we're human beings. We are always interacting with other people and communicating. If we improve our communication, we improve our life. And just as a third example, if you are always trying to be perfect and overthinking things a lot, and then through this program you start being able to control that a bit more and actually to shut off and to relax, that can just be a huge difference in your life, because now you can relax, you can enjoy, you will have less of burnout syndromes, and all those kind of things. So I really believe you can achieve, or you can achieve and gain a lot from this program. And that's how I designed the program, of course, because I want you to come out of this program and say, wow, that was so much worth it. I'm going to recommend it to everybody I know. So it is very difficult to make specific predictions of what will be different in your life. But I'm sure that your life will be different and better after going through Beyond Intellect with me. So let's go back to intuition. every second, about 2 million pieces of information enter our brain through primarily our 5 senses, but also through our other senses. Of course, 2 million pieces of information is too much to be consciously aware of, way too much. So what do? We have filters. These 2 million pieces go through 3 stages of filters. First, generalizations, then deletions, and then distortions. Generalizations means that we get an information which we just say, that's always the case. Kind of like we meet a person of a certain age and they behave in a certain age, and then we just generalize that. Or we meet one person at a party, they are a certain way, and then we just generalize that to everybody. Second was deletions. Deletions mean some information comes in and we just delete it. Could be because we're just not interested in it, yeah. And lastly, distortions. Distortions means the information gets somehow twisted or changed, mostly to fit our worldview. So that, this happens, for example, when you have depressive thoughts, and then, with this depressive mood or down mood, you go out in the world and you only see those kind of like negative things. That's because you distort the positive or the neutral things into negative ones, and you delete the positive ones. Anyway, so we have these 3 levels of filters, and in the end, about 134 pieces of information get into our conscious awareness. So we are only aware of 134 pieces with our 5 senses per second, which is much, much, much less compared to the 2 million. Actually, it means that information comes in 15,000 times faster than we can be conscious of it. So we have all this information coming in, we filter, we generalize, delete, and distort it, and then we are aware of 134 pieces of information, which means we miss out on a lot. We miss out on so much. And what happens to that? It comes into our brain, but it stays below the consciousness, below the conscious awareness, which means in the subconscious, unconsciousness. And we cannot dig it up. We cannot conjure it, really. But sometimes it just kind of like flows to the surface of awareness. And that's what we call intuition. Something somehow popped up, somehow we made this really far and fuzzy kind of connection, and it just came from our intuition. Or we just feel like, I don't know why, but that thing, I want that thing and not that. I cannot tell you rationally why that could be better, but somehow I have this gut feeling. So intuition and gut feeling are kind of like the same thing. Somehow, below our awareness, there is something that is steering that decision. So, maybe you want to be really scientific, and this has helped you to believe in intuition, so to say, or understand intuition. Maybe you don't really care about it, you know that intuition works, or you're interested in seeing whether it works. Maybe you are religious or spiritual, then you might call, it's not intuition, it's consciousness, it's the universe, it's God, it's whatever. It doesn't really matter to me how you call it. What matters is that we use it and that we are open to it. So, beyond intellect, intuition, creativity, and communication for PhD students. I really hope that this video gave you some insight into what we're going to do. And I really hope you found it interesting, and I hope to see you. If you have any questions, please just email me at jeromehw@gmail.com. It's down there in the slide. And I make sure to answer all your questions. Thank you.